Wayne Fonts happily pacing the sidelines here. I mentioned that Barry Sanders has 142 yards thus far. His career high single game is 184. As you take a look at the numbers there, Wayne Fonts' squad trying to sweep the Vikings for the first time in 29 years. As a matter of fact, you know, there are 39 players on the Lions squad who weren't even born at that point in time when they last swept.
And remember, the Vikings didn't come into the league too much earlier than that either.
Walker again from the 9, across the 20. And finally wrapped up and dropped by Victor Jones. There is a flag on the near sideline.
I think it's going to be one of those inadvertent face masks.
And Randy, your eyes once again good.
Incidental face mask, 5 yards on a defense from the end of the run, first down.
But he didn't nail the culprit, but we'll assume it's Victor Jones.
And why will we assume? Because we're going to have a look at Victor right here. Watch old Herschel's head as he comes through the pile. And it happens right towards about the middle of the tackle, right there. See that? Doesn't have to be on there long. They don't want people grabbing face masks.
2:58 left in the third period of play. Detroit on top 24-7. First and 10 for the Vikes. Complete to Steve Jordan, and that breaks the all-time reception record set by Ahmad Rashad. Steve Jordan now with 401 career catches. And the man they call Ivy from the Ivy League, Brown University, said he took an awful lot of notes from Ahmad Rashad and Sammy White. There are the numbers. Steve Jordan said Ahmad Rashad had focus and serious work ethics in practice and game situations, and they're stopping the game to acknowledge his record.
And I'm sure Steve Jordan had traded a couple of those catches for some big catches here and some scores for the Minnesota Vikings.
Second and 2. Ball at the 39 of Minnesota. Three wide out. And complete to Chris Carter for a first down near the 45. 4 catches on the afternoon for Chris Carter.
And Gannon's starting to get some continuity and some smoothness to himself in his offense here. We see this from this ground level angle. Carter goes up, receiver gets up like that in the air over the middle. He knows he's going to get hit.
.137 left in the third period of play. First and 10, ball at the 45. Incomplete intended receiver was Hassan Jones. Fans wanted defensive pass interference against Terry Taylor. Not to be.
How do you fend off a flag? Terry Taylor comes over the top of the back of the receiver, Hassan Jones. Watch him get up. He gets up, pointing at the receiver. He's pointing at everybody else. It wasn't me. Watch this. He rolls over. Now he's pointing. Look, oh, wow. Oh.
The hero moves.
That's right.
Gannon, 15 of 20 for 171 yards. 2 interceptions. He's been sacked 4 times today. Second and 10. Nelson, the lone back. Blitz coming. And he's grabbed. Give the credit to Ray Crockett. First sack of the season for Ray Crockett. And a loss of 10 on the play.
Now, normally you point out individual blitzers. You say one come from here. These are all blitzers right now. Spielman in the middle, he gets free, and then Crockett's going to come up and finish him off. Here's Spielman. He gets blocked, but here comes Crockett off the corner. That's the way you break up that continuity and smoothness of an offense. You come down, you blitz, you get their quarterback.
Boy, the Lions put Mike Kofer on the sidelines, and the guys go crazy, sacking and blitzing. 5 on the afternoon. This is 3rd and 20. And unleashes it. And nearly caught by Chris Carter. While we've got a moment here, let's head back to New York and check in with Greg.
Well, James, at RFK Stadium, Steve Berline in for the injured Troy Aikman, 22 yards to Michael Irvin. And early in the 4th quarter, Dallas leading the undefeated Redskins 21-7. James?
Well, I mentioned that in addition to Troy Aikman, that he had some weapons, although he's not in the game, but Michael Irvin still is, as is Emmitt Smith. 2 very dangerous weapons. Newsom on to punt for the Vikings. And Mel Gray, the ever-dangerous one, from his own 10. Slips a tackle, looks for a seam, and gets up to the 20. A 45-yard punt, 10-yard return by Mel Gray. Coming up next, Greg Norman hosts the Shark Shootout, benefiting Ronald McDonald Children's Charities as an elite field of golfers compete in a best ball alternate shot scramble format at Sherwood Country Club in Thousand Oaks, California. Jim Nance will bring you the action from out there as you take a look at Norman and Nicholas hovering back as a 3rd pair.
Trailing Purtzer and Watkins. Purtzer's got the prettiest swing on the PGA Tour. The guy's like a machine. Same swing every single time.
Precision. 1st and 10 from the 20. Sanders. You know, Sanders doesn't look to let up at all. He still has the same graceful gliding speed late in the game or early in the game. Makes no difference.
It doesn't matter if Barry Sanders is ahead 50-0 or behind 50-0. This is a guy that loves the game so much, loves playing the game so much. He goes as hard as he can for as long as he can.
And the players will allow the clock to run out to bring the 3rd quarter to a close. And that's the end of the 3rd quarter with the score. Detroit 24, Minnesota 7. Our coverage will continue after this message from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
This is CBS.
I'm here today to speak with you about checking. Standard Federal Bank gives you many ways to earn absolutely free checking. Some of our competitors stick you with monthly fees. And every time you write a check, they charge you. You needn't put up with that. Switch to Standard Federal and save. We'll help you attain your financial goals.
Join the best checking team in town, Standard Federal Bank.
Behold the 1992 Volkswagen Passat GL, the European driving sedan that lets you take the curves with a solid, connected-to-the-road feeling of Fahrvergnügen. Now behold this special limited-time introductory price on the Passat GL, equipped to the nines. And follow that car to your nearby Volkswagen dealer. Hurry, this offer is over soon.
Test drive a 92 Passat at your Southeast Michigan Volkswagen dealers.
Vern, if you think you got a good deal on this new computer, forget it. You should have gone to the business district at ABC Warehouse. They're the closest thing to wholesale, with the lowest prices on name brand computers, fax machines, copiers, everything for your home office. Vern, go with ABC Warehouse, because they're definitely user-friendly. Know what I mean?
Now at ABC, get this Wang Executive Series computer for just $1,977.
Meet Cecil Fielder in person with J.P. McCarthy Saturday night at 10 on TV2.
International flavor to today's NFC Central Division battle. Japanese broadcast network here. The game is being taped and will be shown back in Japan. There's Takao Masuda, the play-by-play man. And to the right with the mustache, Big Ben Davison. Let's give a listen.
さて、デトロイトライオンズの攻撃が続きます。24ヤードからのセカンドダウン6。ワンセットバック。
That's right, Matsuda.
And Barry Sanders. First down.
30ヤードを超えてファーストダウンです。
Let's give a listen to the Japanese replay on this one, Randy.
今のプレーですが、バリー・サンダースにここでハンドオフ。そしてサンダース一遍真ん中をついたんですが、右にカットを踏んで、もう一度左にカットを踏んで34ヤードラインまでボールを運んでいます。ファーストダウンです。
It's the same in any language, Randy.
Doesn't matter.
今私たちの映像が、アメリカの CBS 放送に流れたようです。
Matsuda, maybe a whole new career on American TV for you.
Randy, I tell you, I loved hearing Ben Davidson's comment the first time. That's right, Masuda.
That's right. It's amazing how quickly they translated Ben's Japanese into English, wasn't it?
Boy, awfully quick. Awfully quick, and that certainly describes Barry Sanders, and I'm sure Chris Dolman will second that. 2nd and 7 for the Lions. Ball on their own 37. Fourth quarter play, 13:36 left in the game. Is it caught or trapped? No, incomplete. Willie Green doesn't put up an argument. And neither does Kramer. Randy, you know, you had mentioned also that you were very impressed with Kramer. What about him specifically impressed you after the conversation?
You know, there's a saying I learned from Tim Ryan, who I worked with my first year with CBS, and that's with quarterbacks, they can play cards or they can't play cards. You know, they got that look to them, they can play cards. This guy can play cards. I don't care what his stats are. This team likes this guy, and this team now believes in Eric Kramer.
3rd
He
and
can play
7.
cards.
Mike Farr in motion. This should it be a pass? Indeed it is. Goes up top, incomplete, looking for Brett Perryman. Well, and talking about Kramer, he also impressed us with his ability to be aggressive and a marketeer off the field, in that he called every NFL club trying to get a job, said there were no special connections here.
When you're a free agent, you come out of North Carolina State, you spend a little time in training camps, you go to Canada, you got to market yourself. And right now he's having a pretty good day. He's 13 of 26, 124 yards, no touchdowns, and he's given the ball to Barry Sanders a whole bunch, and that's never a bad idea.
Not a bad formula at all. As Jim Arnold comes on to punt for the Lions, Leo Lewis back at his own 20 for the Vikings. High snap. Arnold gets it away, and Lewis lets it take a bounce. And it takes a Minnesota bounce. A 39-yard punt only. It'll be Vikings ball at the 24 when we come back.
A mistake was made. Okay, we forgot. We overlooked it.
Say you need something sent overnight. There are a few companies you can call. But say you need it Saturday morning, guaranteed. There are two. But only one is so efficient.
Bobby, just give me a couple of minutes.
They get it there on time for far less, which is why to some, there is only one. UPS.
2 minutes here. Yeah, who's right? Let's go. 12. Who's 12? Yeah, let's go get him up. Baby, let's go.
To demonstrate the superior color of new Kodak Gold 400 film, just open a box. It has the richest, most vivid color available in a high-speed film. New Kodak Gold 400. Fast film. True colors.
Wouldn't it be great if there was a country club just for regular guys and a few things were changed, like monster carts allowed on course, water hazards shall no longer be hazardous, spikes encouraged in the clubhouse, only really great premium beer served, like cold filtered Keystone and Keystone Light, bottle beer taste in a can.
Hey, I'm in the sand again. All right.
Nice shot.
Thanks. Wouldn't that be great?
This game summary is sponsored by Keystone.
The synopsis of this summary here, all Detroit, showing the back and forth it's been. It was Detroit early in the game. Minnesota came back. Now it's Detroit. You mentioned that Minnesota would have to stop Barry Sanders unsuccessfully.
Coming in here, James, we're worried about the mental condition of the Detroit Lions. Emotionally, are they going to be able to come in here and play a physical game after the injury and what happened to Mike Utley last week? They've proven emotionally they're ready to go. Minnesota came into the second half wanting to stop Barry Sanders. Sorry, he's got 90-plus yards so far in the second half, and Eric Kramer and his passing have not been an issue in this ballgame.
And the defense certainly has risen to the challenge as well. 5 sacks on the afternoon. I mentioned Mike Kofor on the sidelines, certainly providing some inspiration. Gannon throws it incomplete as he threw it at the leg of Darren Nelson. But then again, when you've got Kelvin Pritchard on top of you, you may be off.
And another one of the acquisitions Detroit's made recently this year, getting him in that draft day trade with Dallas, a first-round draft pick, Pritchett, and somebody they really hope they can develop into an inside threat on the pass rush. Right there, he's working against Habib, 74, the right guard, and gets by him pretty cleanly with some good hand action.
Pritchett had a nice game last week. Nelson, the lone back. 3 wide outs. Hassan Jones to the near side. 2nd and 10. Timing pattern. The pass intended for Anthony Carter. Good defense. Sheldon White over there. Boy, Dallas expanding the Washington deficit there. My goodness.
You know, the press, the media, a lot of Washington Redskin fans, if they do indeed lose that game, will be very down, very depressed. Gee, we won't be 16-0. I think it'll be a plus for Washington. It will redouble their focus. It will redouble their efforts. I think they'll be a better team if they do lose than if they keep winning and just hang on.
Gannon looking for Chris Carter. He's got him complete for the first down. Inside the 45, and there's a flag at midfield. Carter beat William White that time.
You know, a lot's been said, a lot's been made of the fact, why isn't Anthony Carter getting the ball more often? How come Chris Carter catches so many more passes? Rich Gannon told us, you know, the main reason Chris Carter's gotten more passes this year, this guy busts his rear end every single pass play to get open. And a great example there. Good concentration. In spite of the fact that he was interfered with, he still comes down with the ball.
Penalty was on William White, declined, of course. And Chris Carter insists that he does, in fact, enjoy a good relationship with the other receivers. Hey, it's just coming my way right now.
Remember, folks, this thing ain't over. A quick strike here, and Minnesota's right back in it.
1st and 10 from the 42 of Detroit, and flags everywhere. Looks like Jeff Hunter, big number 97.
If contact was made, they'll call him from offsides, but Chris Carter out of the slot on the left side of the offense also moved.
And Rich Gannon gets pushed out of the conversation by the officials.
Prior to the snap, we have a false start on number 80. First down.
I'll tell you,
one of the disadvantages of being a wide receiver, being an offensive player, you can't move at all. And here's Carter. Hunter is right down here. You'll just see him move, and then you'll see Carter move. Watch this. Almost simultaneous, but the offensive player can't flinch towards the line of scrimmage like that.
So it'll be 1st and 15 for the Vikings. Ball marked at the 47. 12:30 left in the game. Vikings trailing by 17. And Gannon throws it again in the direction of Anthony Carter. And on top of him was Sheldon White, and Carter, AC, still on the ground. Carter, 7th-year veteran out of Michigan.
And that's another one of those cases of coming across the middle and getting a face full of safety. Watch this here. Not a bad throw. Gannon puts it in the only place he could.
Oh, the helmet. That's what the fans are screaming about there.
But Jenkins puts that face and that helmet right into the face of Anthony Carter, who will slant from the top of the screen, working against Sheldon White. And Jenkins comes off Chris Carter, turns around, and just wraps Anthony Carter.
Now that is dangerous.
You know, and like we've been talking about Mike Utley, and they mentioned in the NFL today, Leslie Visser talked about those types of hits. The helmet-to-helmet contact are the ones where players live in mortal fear of as far as a serious neck injury. You know, very rarely do things happen like happened to Mike Utley. It was sort of a freak deal, very, very tragically. But those are the types of contacts and the type of hits that people expected. That was the Tatum and Stingley. That was helmet-to-helmet type of thing. When you get those contacts, there's an awful lot of stress on a person's neck and vertebrae.
Although it looked vicious up around the helmet area, Carter is not putting any pressure on that left ankle of his.
And see that thing bent back as he was hit. He was sent, his whole body was sent back over that left ankle when he was struck.
So Leo Lewis comes in to replace him. 2nd and 15. Gannon to Leo Lewis. Lewis scampering his way up to around the 37. He needed to get to the 34 for the first down. 9 yards picked up on the play. Gannon quickly bringing the troops to the line. 3rd and 4 from the 36. Quick one to Chris Carter, and Carter has the first down. So Minnesota keeps the drive alive. 11:49 left in the game, trailing 24-7 as the clock continues to wind down.
And Minnesota continues to stay in their hurry-up offense. They need a quick strike. They need something into the end zone real soon, like now.
Minnesota with 2 timeouts remaining. Detroit with all 3. Nelson. Big room, heading to pay dirt. Touchdown, Minnesota. A 30-yard blast by Darren Nelson.
And Darren Nelson continues to have success against these Detroit Lions. We said they needed a play in the end zone. Well, you don't have to throw it in there to get your points. Detroit and Barry Sanders has proved that. And Darren Nelson drags the defender in and scores his touchdown.
Darren Nelson, first rushing touchdown of the day. Nelson involved in both touchdowns by the Vikings. Halfback option. He threw one to Anthony Carter. And this one a rushing one, and believe it or not, the play is being reviewed.
And what they're reviewing, they're going to review where he came down. If he indeed, did he and the ball come down, or did the ball, more importantly, break the plane before he was down? Taking a look from the side angle of it. Nice run, doing his taller, thinner version of a Barry Sanders run. Here comes the contact. He's going down. Can't really tell, but if that ball is anywhere from the numbers up on him there, that's a touchdown. One more time. He's going down. Yeah, that's 6 points. There's nothing, you know, it's close, but there's nothing so conclusive that you'd overrule it. 1, here's a good angle. 2, 6. 1 and 2 or 3, I know, but 1 and 2 are 6 in that case.
Well, we keep track of everything here, including the reviews this season. 2.6 per game. Not bad numbers.
Yeah, not really. You know, they don't grade them either. They just give you the percentage. You know, eventually they should move into a grade category.
Well, Randy, you know, we may very well see coaches starting to practice some hurry-up plays after situations like this so as not to have to get into a replay.
Well, it already happens. He's going down. His knee is down. If this was college, he would be down. But this is not college. As the ball and his momentum carries him in, the ball crosses the plane. The ball there. When the knee hits that ball, got it.
We have a reversal.
Yep.
We have his knee down. The ball's on the left yard line. It's first down.
It's 100% right.
Well, Tom Dooley clearly articulating that one. Knee down, ball at the half-yard line for Wayne.
You know,
you've got Barry Sanders there.
From that back angle, it looked like the ball was out over the end zone, all over the goal line as he was going down. But you see here, as the knee hits down, where is the ball? Knee is down, where's the ball? See, from that angle, I would say, heck, he's over. But from the other angle, he wasn't.
First and goal from the 1. Walker, touchdown, Minnesota.
We talked about Minnesota being 6-0 when they run the ball more than 30 times this year. That was their 21st run of the game.
And they trail.
We talked about Herschel being able to jump and being a leaper. He didn't have to leap there. There was a nice hole right in the middle, right behind Loudermilk and Habib, and Todd Kalis follows Randall McDaniel, the fullback, in for an easy score.
Bart Reve's on for the point after, and it's good. Minnesota cuts the Lions' lead to 10.
It was a good day for ideas. Plans for a sidewalk cafe were finalized. A river walk was proposed. And someone had the vision to bring luxury and romance back to train travel. Keep those ideas coming, and we'll keep making them look their best. LaserJet printers from Hewlett-Packard.
Hours a day across Europe, Asia, and America. Over 70,000 of the best people on the ground are working to bring you the best service in the sky.
You love to fly and it shows.
With more power than standard cordless screwdrivers and 40 inch-pounds of torque, the Black & Decker Power Driver is more than a match for any job. The Black & Decker Power Driver, one power tool that really pulls its own weight, and then some.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Coors Light. The Silver Bullet is the right beer now. Hewlett-Packard LaserJet printers, they'll get you noticed. And by The Card, the American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
Well, you see the principal mode of transportation here up in Minnesota. And the Vikings have been trying to use Walker as a principal mode of transportation as he scores the touchdown. 24-14 Lions with 11:05 remaining in the contest. Vikings lead this series 38-20-2. Last time they met, the Lions scored 21 fourth quarter points to come back and win it 24-20. Will it be Minnesota to pull the reversal?
As Detroit did in the fourth quarter against Minnesota earlier in the year, they scored to get within 2 touchdowns, and they onside kicked. Minnesota's going to onside here. If they're not fouled, Reves has a new way of kicking off with that ball sitting sideways on the tee.
Well, we ought to see the hands people, if you will, for Detroit. And let me bring you up to date on the timeouts here. Minnesota and Detroit both with 2 remaining. Lions on top 24-14, 11:05. And don't forget, coming up on Thanksgiving, it'll be a special edition of the NFL Today. Terry, Greg, Leslie, and Pat O'Brien will bring you the holiday version of the NFL Today. And after that, it'll be game time when the Lions take on the Bears. And as Randy Cross mentioned, the NFC Central Division title still very much up for grabs there. The Lions can have a bearing on it. That'll be coming your way Thanksgiving Day.
No pun intended, of course, James. The Lions would have a bearing on it. And now Faoud Revez has moved the ball onto the normal tee. The hands team is in. A little chess game here. A little strategy.
I like that. I'll tell you what, Mel Gray, we'll see if he boots it back. He tries to keep it away from Mel Gray. Campbell has it at the 30. And across the 40 to the 41, so the Lions will come out with excellent field position. And right now, with all the busy going on in the NFL, let's go back to New York and Greg.
All right, James, in Washington, Gerald Riggs powers over from a yard out to cut Dallas's lead over the Redskins to 21-14. 4 minutes to play in Washington, and we'll have the scores and highlights coming up on the postgame show. JB?
Randy, you mentioned that Matt Millen may have the best job in football. Gerald Riggs certainly can't be too far behind. They called him in on short yardage situations and to score the TDs.
Exactly. Now's the time when Dallas will find out if they truly have a running game with Emmitt Smith against that tough a defense.
1st and 10 from the 41. Sanders. And Sanders blasting out. And juking his way inside the 15, tackled by Ray Berry. Barry Sanders on the move again. 45 yards. He's got 204 yards on the afternoon. That's a career high for Barry Sanders.
Just unbelievable how he gets through these areas. Where he sees this daylight, where he sees, look at him, he froze Felix Wright. There is some good news here, though. Ray Berry, number 50, is finally going to get his hands on Barry Sanders today and make this tackle. He's missed him 4 or 5 times with those moves. This guy is incredible. You're watching something very special here today, folks.
His previous high, 184 against Green Bay back in '89, and Sanders trying to add to it.
We're going to have a quick quiz here. I bet the people back in Detroit know who held the old record of 198 yards for the Detroit Lions. The former rushing crown was held by James.
You tell me.
Horsey Horsemeyer would be my first guess. Horsey Horsemeyer or Billy Sims, but no Horsey Horsemeyer.
A very familiar name indeed.
I did not know that one.
2nd and 6. Ball at the 10. Sanders. Ahead for about 2. And once again, a busy man in New York, Greg Gumbel.
All right, JB, in Tampa, Vinny Testaverde, 19 yards. So Willie Drury and the Bucks and the Giants are tied at 14 apiece. Meanwhile, x-rays on Giants quarterback Jeff Hostetler show a fracture of a small bone in the lower back. Not a career-threatening injury, James.
Thank you, Greg. And back here, a good one on hand. Detroit 24, Minnesota 14.
And Greg might be a busy man in New York, but Barry's got to be a tired man here in Minnesota. He is carrying the load, and this is about to squash some comeback hopes of the Minnesota Vikings.
3rd and 5. Sanders, guess what? Touchdown, Lions. 4 touchdowns on the afternoon for Barry Sanders.
Amazing. Amazing doesn't cover it.
You're right. We've got to go in the dictionary and come up with a few more. 219 yards on the afternoon on 22 carries, 4 touchdowns.
And he is trapped. He is stopped. He should be tackled. But we're not talking about Joe Average here. We're talking about Barry Sanders. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. And there we go. Wayne, we saw Wayne early. Wayne was on the hug hunt. He's hunted down Barry. Wayne's got more touches and contacts on Barry than the Vikings do.
Well, Barry Sanders, reason enough to be hugged. First Lion to run for 4 touchdowns in the game. What an afternoon for Barry Sanders.
Sports and Science Converge, brought to you by AT&T, sponsor the '92 U.S. Olympic team. When speed skaters want to continue training in the off-season or in bad weather, they have a complete off-ice training regimen. 1988 Olympic silver medalist Eric Flame shows his program in a moment.
I made it home last night, finally, after an hour on the freeway. the light bulb blows. Okay, get up on the ladder. And while I'm up there, the phone rings. I gotta come back down the ladder. This guy's promising me big savings if I leave AT&T. No way. Big savings. So I tell him, listen, I'm not paying a lot now. With AT&T, I don't have to question, I don't have to worry about my long distance. Give me a break. They're just not AT&T.
Flame's dryland training program builds endurance, develops quickness, and maintains timing. Exercises like the turn skate drill and the slide board allow Flame to return to the ice in top form.
When we talk about how low to the ground Barry Sanders runs, look at this. You're a safety for the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, they're giving him the ball. Where'd he go? Where is he? Whoops, there he is. Touchdown.
The comment that Paul Wiggin made was that Barry Sanders has a body built by Volvo with anti-lock brakes for ankles and feet. I'm sure the people in Detroit would prefer that to be a body by Fisher. Whatever, he's dangerous. 22 carries, 218 yards, 4 touchdowns. Pat Eilers takes it from the 18. And Eilers jumps his way to about the 32-33-yard line for the Minnesota Vikings. You take a look, only 2:23 left in that Washington-Dallas game. Giants and Tampa Bay all tied up at 14 apiece. Some excellent contests there.
New England leading Buffalo. McPherson has done a great job up there in New England.
Green Bay fired there.
There's another.
Tom Bratz.
Pittsburgh over Houston. Cleveland over Kansas City.
Raiders 38-14. Tim Brown had a 75-yard punt return for a touchdown. That now becomes the longest punt return for TD this year, breaking the 69-yarder by Brian Mitchell of Washington.
And it's snowing. That game's in Cincinnati. That's a bad weather game.
Intended receiver Chris Carter. I guess Carter had a case of alligator arms that time. He knew the hits were coming.
You know, you talk about the alligator arms and people joke about the receivers coming across the middle. This little hit here, this is just Benny Blades' way of saying, Chris, thanks for dinner last night. You and the wife made White and I a little dinner last night. This is a little something for you. Here, it's kind of like a parting gift. A little something for you to take back home to you tonight.
And we asked them that specifically. Chris, if Benny was coming at you on the field, do you think he would pull up and not hit you hard? Well, I guess that was indication enough.
I tell you, there's two kinds of people you don't want to run into on a football field when they got a shot on you. One of them is somebody who doesn't like you, and the other one is a good friend, because good friends will not let up on you.
Now both starting wide receivers for the Vikings out of the game, Anthony Carter and Chris Carter. 2nd and 10, Hassan Jones in motion. And Gannon slips and falls and is tackled.
They'll call him down. They'll call that a sack, and that'll be the 6th sack for Detroit today, working against this Minnesota Vikings line.
Now, was that Hayworth or Pete?
This is just kind of a race to the quarterback because Loudermilk steps on Gannon's foot. Gannon's down. And now it's just like, you know, it's like throwing a bone in a bunch of dogs. Well, somebody wants to jump on it because it's a freebie.
Hayworth and Pete there, huh? Maybe Hayworth first. 6 sacks, nonetheless, on the afternoon. Boy, Detroit really has increased in that category now. 20 for the year. They came into this game with 14. On 3rd and 16, first down catch by Chris Carter, who's back in the game, obviously. Terry Taylor runs him out of bounds, but not after. Before seeing him pick up 21 yards. 7:43 left in the game.
And this is the thing. Chris Carter is going to come open real late on this one. Gannon steps up. He was going to run, uses the poise, and stays in there to hit Carter on that late one. Carter gets his 7th catch. Now has 7 catches for 111 yards.
He now has a career high in yardage. Going up top. And it was going for Carter, but intercepted by William White. his second interception of the season. And White was the other dinner guest.
Chris Carter's best man in his wedding. And that was just a gift from Gannon. He had no business floating that thing up like that in the middle of a zone defense, because that's White's job, is to sit back there and pray that somebody throws one up like that. Well, it's duck hunting season, and here's a duck up for grabs. And William Wright gladly takes that Thanksgiving turkey and heads to the sideline.
5 turnovers for Minnesota, 2 fumbles, 3 interceptions.
And look you know what happens when a quarterback throws an interception? He's fair game. You can do whatever you want to him. Jump on him, stomp on him, knock him down.
Hello. First and 10, ball at midfield, 7:15 left in the game. Sanders, the man who's done all kinds of damage, scooting ahead for 2. 31-14. Well, coming into this game, I guess the heading careful quarterbacks did apply.
And Gannon today has suffered a little bit, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact the running game for the Minnesota Vikings was almost non-existent today. It got to the point where they had to throw the ball, they had to put the pressure on Gannon, and that offensive line here in Minnesota that got so much credit and so much praise for pushing the Green Bay Packers around last week, just couldn't get the job done today.
2nd and 8 from the 48. DJ Dozier, first down. And Dozier inside the 20 to the 19, finally tackled by Audrey McMillan. A 29-yard run by DJ Dozier, and what a welcome back to the Metrodome.
Wayne Fonts told us, I think this guy reminds me of O.J. Simpson with that kind of fluid, loping style. Look at when he gets opened up. He's moving. He doesn't look like he's running hard or fast, but he's eating up 3-4 yards with every stride. And here's what it looks like if you're playing strong safety, free safety for the Minnesota Vikings.
Detroit on the ground this afternoon, 255 yards rushing. Campbell in motion. 1st and 10 from the 19 of Minnesota. Dozier spinning, trying to get it loose from Jimmy Williams. Couldn't shake him.
And that's the difference between a good running back like a DJ Dozier and Barry Sanders.
Isn't that something?
Barry Sanders might still be running. 5 seconds later, he might not even be across the goal line. He'd still be standing there making people miss.
And about to take the first snaps of the season, Andre Ware, the #1 draft pick 2 seasons ago.
You would imagine they're going to keep running the ball and pounding the ball at the Minnesota Vikings. They don't want to make a mistake. It's a 17-point lead with 5 minutes left to play in the game.
2nd and 10 from the 19. And on the ground, maybe a yard ahead. Mike Merriweather on the stop of DJ Dozier. You know, as frustrated as Andre Ware may be with not playing for whatever reason, as Minnesota burns off a timeout, leaving them with just 1, Rich Gannon probably had the best reasons in explaining to us why a quarterback ought to sit down the first couple of years.
He's right. He thinks he's really pretty fortunate having been in the situation that he was in, not having to sort of play right away and being thrown in. You get a chance to read it, you get a chance to look at the defenses, you get a chance to be around the atmosphere and the team before you get out there and start playing. I think you're able to mature and season yourself and get seasoned by being around the game instead of being thrown in. You know, people say, well, gee, how about Jim Kelly? Well, gee, how about Troy Aikman? But I always got to come back and say, well, how about Vinny Testaverde?
Yes, indeed.
I mean, look at Vinny Testaverde. The poor guy has just been slapped around something terrible in Tampa.
A former Heisman Trophy Award winner at the quarterback spot for the Lions. On 3rd and 9, and a miscue. Ball is loose. Dozier trying to get the handle on it, still loose. And finally, Lomas Brown, the 7th-year vet, recovers the fumble. Well, now, Hank Stram's saying around this time would be they are putting a little sand in the ball to carry it on the ground. I don't know what he was saying for that.
This thing looks like one of those little lopsided balls you see that kind of wobbles. Can't get a handle on it. Gee, look at this thing back. Now, he can't hold it. He had his hands on it. He's the third guy to get his hands on it. Struthers comes in. He can't hold on to it. Finally, Lomas, he takes the right approach. The heck with putting my hands on it. I'm going to put my chest on it and lie on it.
And Lomas very fortunate no one jumped on top of that bad shoulder of his.
When you talk about happy feet all the time, you hear that talk about quarterback. DJ Dozier there had a case of happy hands. He got that ball in his hands, and suddenly his hands started moving twice as fast as his feet, and the ball comes out. There's those happy hands. Struthers can't get it, but Lomas can.
Well, Minnesota called a timeout, leaving them with none. Detroit has 2 remaining as you take a look at where. Even Jerry Wampler with the number 60 shirt on, again in recognition of Mike Utley. Eddie Murray will come on to attempt a field goal, and this will be a 50-yard field goal attempt. His season long is 47.
Got the leg.
And he's got it. So Eddie Murray with a season long now of 50 yards, booting the Lions in front by 20.
And from this far out, when you get a kick, Eddie Murray's thinking, keep your head down and drill it. It's not going to get up very high. See, it just barely clears the rush of Minnesota. Eddie likes it. Arnold, his punter, likes it. How does Wayne Fonts think? What do you think, Wayne? You got a 50-yarder. You like that? Boy, is he getting kind of nonchalant now. A few handshakes, but he turns around and immediately goes, okay, kickoff team, let's go.
Well, the big thing is Wayne Fonts there does not have the headsets on, and he talked about why the team didn't want him to wear the headsets anymore.
He said he lost contact with his team. When he had the headset on, he's constantly talking to the offensive coaches, the defensive coaches, the special teams coaches. He said a couple games ago, I said, the heck with it. I took the headset off. I gave it to an assistant to follow me around if I wanted to talk to somebody. And after the game, the players came up to me and said, Coach, it's good to have you back with us.
Well, the Lions get an opportunity to look impressive on Thanksgiving Day. That coming up on Thursday, the Turkey Day special, and it all gets started with Thanksgiving Day at the NFL Today, 12 noon. That'll be followed by the Lions and Bears at 12:30 Eastern. Back to live action, Nelson fumble, and the Lions recover. Victor Jones. So the ball continues to bounce Detroit's way. 6th turnover for the Vikings today. 3 fumbles, my goodness.
And Jerry Burns, that about says his mood right now. Just takes that headset off and throws it aside. You know, you can take your headset off so you don't have to listen to anything, but there's nothing you can do because you're going to have to watch the rest of this one, Jerry. And right now, the performance by your Vikings, who were thinking, gee, can we get into the playoffs, is getting pretty ugly. And so are their chances of getting in the playoffs.
After that fumble, everyone walked away from Jerry Burns. Nobody within 10, 20 feet of him. What a year. Roman Fortin comes in as the eligible receiver for Detroit. 1st and 10, ball at the 25 of Minnesota. 4:15 left. This is DJ Dozier, and Dozier tackled by Jimmy Williams. A loss of 5 on the play. Randy, what is it with this Detroit team? They play well in domes, but not outside.
And you can, this record right here, it's a little early. I know there's about 3-4 minutes left. We'll make this an 8 right here, I think. That's 8-0 and 0-4. You know, James, it's hard to explain. The Lions don't know what it is. In fact, the Lions try to blow it off as just something the media wants to talk about. I think it's something Wayne Fonts and his coaching staff had better talk about, too, because if they get into the playoffs and they have playoff games, most of them are going to be outside.
Andre Ware with the keeper. And Ware runs out of bounds right near the 1st down marker. We'll see where they spot it. So he looks like he was going to be a little shy.
I'm sorry, James. And we're talking about their record, Detroit, and they're still sort of in the Central Division race, and things are still looking good for them. But also, if they don't catch Chicago, with the record they're going to be able to compile, they'll also have the home field advantage for that first playoff game. The first wild card game would be there in Detroit. So they would get a time in the Dome, but if they want to go past that first one, like Barry Sanders says, we have 8 games left. 3 of those 4 postseason games will be outside.
Dozier spinning inside the 15, and he's got the first down. Well, I know there is one Detroit Lion who would love to play outdoors, and that's Chris Spielman. As a matter of fact, he was a little upset that this game wasn't being played outside.
He's an old Ohio Stater. He figures everything should be done outside. We should just get out there and play in the cold, play in the snow, play in the rain.
Interesting, he's got a broken thumb that he actually broke the first time in preseason. Interesting response he gave you.
He says it keeps breaking. I said, you know, Chris, do you wear like a hard plastic kind of cover over that thumb to protect it? I said, no. He says no. He's wearing a glove over it, but he goes, no, I didn't do that. He goes, I said, well, heck, if you have a hard plastic cover on there, you can jab guys. You can hurt them with that thing. He looks at me and says, yeah, you know, you're right. That's not a bad idea.
May not be a bad idea. He considers it a flesh wound. We're at the 2-minute mark. Detroit on top by 20.
Anybody thought about dynamite?
You made me love you. You made me want you.
You know you want the luscious taste of McDonald's Big Mac. Add fries and a Coke for a deal that's irresistible. The extra value meal at McDonald's today.
You know you made me love you.
Tonight on CBS, 60 Minutes. Barbra Streisand and Robert Redford? No. Barbra Streisand and Omar Sharif? No. It's Barbra Streisand and Mike Wallace tonight on 60 Minutes. Then it'll be followed by Murder, She Wrote, and the very best of the Ed Sullivan Show, Part 2.
My favorite Ed Sullivan character was always Topo Gigio, the little mouse.
The little mouse.
Remember that?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. We got a final back in Washington, James. The Washington Redskins have lost their first game.
It happened.
24, Washington 21. Rippon hit Sanders with a 29-yarder with 16 seconds left to pull him to 24-21, but Willis had kicked a 42-yard field goal to put him up 24-14. So
the coaching staff had been a little concerned in Washington about whether or not they would have the attention of the players because things have been going so well. They'll have that attention now.
And in that Giants-Tampa Bay game, Phil Simms hit Baker with a 30-yard touchdown pass to win that game 21-14. But in that game, the Giants lost to injury Lawrence Taylor, Jeff Hostetler, Mark Collins, and Doug Riesenberg.
As Andre Ware goes down in the win the game position with 1:07 left in the game. Minnesota with no timeouts remaining cannot stop the clock.
With 7 minutes to go in that game there, Pittsburgh better be careful. Houston can strike quickly.
And don't forget, coming next, the NFL Today post-game show. Greg and Terry in New York will bring you up to date with all the scores and highlights, let you know exactly what has happened today. What has happened here today was a case of a lot of Barry Sanders as the Lions will move on to improve their record to 8-4 and stay right on the heels of the Chicago Bears. Wayne Font said before the game today, he didn't run quite as nicely as Barry Sanders that time, that it was awfully nice to be chased for a change. And the Vikings were doing just that all day long, chasing Barry Sanders, who finished the day with 23 carries for 220 yards. Eric Kramer, successful again. Today represented his 4th start, and he improves the Lions to 8-4. So Randy, the Lions certainly on a nice emotional high as they gear and aim for the Chicago Bears on Thanksgiving Day.
Exactly. If they can get through that Chicago game this Thursday, which you'll see right here on CBS on Thanksgiving, that'll put them at 9-4 and 1 game behind the Chicago Bears. Everything is focused there now.
So for Randy Cross, this is James Brown saying so long from the Metrodome, where the final score, Lions 34, Vikings 14. Coming up next on the NFL Today post-game show, Greg and Terry with all the scores and highlights. CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League continues after this.